Today, I am bringing to you one of the most popular keynote speakers. She speaks at conventions and conferences with thousands of people. They bring her in to talk about guest experience and also about the female experience, which she talks about in her upcoming book that's set to release in 2023. So you got to get your pre-order. It's called CustomHer Experience. This could potentially transition your business in a way that will help it blow up, not only for your consumers, but for your female employees. We really get into it. And I am excited that she agreed to come on my show and talk to all of us. Check it out.
Welcome to Body Bangin', your podcast for all things body. Auto body, that is. And now, introducing Body Bangin's host, Mickey Woods of Mickey Woods Marketing. Mickey is a former auto collision center owner and is now a marketing and business development expert to shops across the globe.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of the Body Bangin' Podcast. I'm excited to bring you my guest today because we're going to do something a little bit different. And we are talking with somebody that I found on LinkedIn, which feels like millions of years ago. And I saw Katie Mayers, my guest, on LinkedIn, and I saw all these events she was speaking at and how passionate she was. And I'm like, I even messaged you, Katie, and was like, you are living my life. Like you have the life.
You literally did.
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't even know you, but I love you and you're living my life. So I am so pumped to bring her here today to talk to all of the men and women on the call. Katie Mayers, welcome to Body Bangin' Podcast.
Thank you. I'm so glad we finally made this happen. How many attempts have we made?
I know. Too many. But it
way
means
too many.
This is the perfect time. That's what that means.
Exactly. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah. So Katie has a really interesting background and she brings something really different to the table that I so appreciate that often in our industry, we skip over. And I'll give you a little bit of background on Katie and then we'll get into things. So Katie has her master's in adult training and development. So she literally, when I saw these pictures and videos of her, travels around and educates and teaches and trains adults. And she's worked for big companies. I mean, we're talking like big automotive, cruise lines, hospitals, tire. The list goes on and on. We're not talking like Joe Schmo's little tire shop down the street. Right? We're talking.
Although I would work with them too.
Yes.
I would do that too.
Yes. Right. But she's highly valued. I don't know if I'm allowed to say the names. I didn't ask you if I could, of some of the automotive makers. Some of the big manufacturers she has worked for, has been employed by, trains their employees, talks about giving a 5-star experience to the consumer, to the customer, to your guest. And then also specifically how we can work with the female consumer, which I am really passionate about. And Katie, I don't know if you know this, but I started writing for Body Shop Business Magazine. And my first article was, what do women really want? ... in your body shop. And it was
love it.
Thank you. And it was about the female perspective, which a lot of those things applied to men also. It wasn't just women, but things that oftentimes carry more weight with women. I got a lot of hate, I will tell you, from that article from women. The men didn't say anything, but the women came after me and told me that I was sexist and it was inappropriate and how dare I. So Katie has a book that's coming up. I just want to preface all this. There it is. CustomHer Experience. Yay. I'm so glad you finally are getting it out there. It will drop February 14th of 2023. So all the stuff we're talking about now, a lot of it you'll be able to find in that book. So Katie, can you share with us, I guess we'll get started. What has your experience been when you started talking about the her experience, the female experience? Did you also experience the pushback of how sexist is that?
Well, yes. So women, what I learned through my research is a lot of organizations, companies, marketing organizations, when they're trying to market to women, they get it all wrong. And they get it wrong because they think pink is the solution, right? They think that um, we're one dimensional and, it's very surface level. I did get a little bit of pushback, but the difference is, I guess, in me coming to the market is I focus on the science. So the physiological differences between men and women. So it's not like, hey, you're a girl, so you're this way. And hey, you're a boy, I should say woman and man, so you're this way.
Right.
It's, well, hey, God made you this way. So your brain is physiologically different from a man. So there is a reason why you are attracted to A, B, C, and D, and why he is not. For example, our limbic brain, a female's limbic brain, is more than 2 times the size of a man.
Wow.
And some of your listeners might be like, what the heck is a limbic brain? Well, the limbic brain is the emotional and memory hub of your brain. So if there is, it doesn't matter male or female, but I always make this joke, a man on here that has a wife, a daughter, a mother, I mean, we have all of that, but who has remembered a fight in grave detail for like years and years and years.
Yes.
It's not her fault. Like, that is how she's made. We store all those details and we feel far, far, far more greatly than a man does. So, well, yes, I got pushback actually in a lot of different ways in terms of my own coming into the automotive industry from other women. I didn't necessarily get pushback in the message because I debunked it with science.
I love that.
It's not just, hey, you're a girl, so you like the touchy-feely, the warm and fuzzies. It's like, no, you are a woman and your brain, that's why you like that. That's why you need to connect. That's why we are like the human social media and we talk and talk and talk and share our stories. Like that is who we are. We're the original social media. It's because our brains are made that way.
Yeah.
So it's not our fault and it's not his fault. It's just what is.
Right. It kind of reminds me of like the book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. Like clearly there's a difference.
No, clearly. And it's not like, again, it's not a difference because of like sexism. It's not a difference because, feminism or this or that. It's just literally physiologically. Yeah. I mean, we're made different. Right. We want different things. Things appeal to us differently. And I think that's the beauty of the different genders is a lot of women have felt the need to lose who they are physiologically because we are so we believe we're in a man's world. And so we often give up that softer side of us thinking that we can't get ahead if we don't have that softer side. So the pushback you got is, especially in the automotive space, are these women that are like, I've been trying so hard to get ahead and be just like them because when I'm just like the man, then I get a promotion. So how dare you call me out on it? Well, no, a man brings amazing qualities to the workplace, but so does a woman. The problem is because it's a man's world, and I hate using that, but I mean, it is a man's world, and we women make it that way most of the time. We forget that women have really great qualities, and if we work together, we'd actually create amazing things. So we just can't lose ourselves.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm totally tracking with you. And I totally agree. Having the female empowerment, I don't subscribe personally to like the feminist beliefs, but I believe that I am empowered and the difference in who I am, especially in a male dominated industry, is very powerful versus very diminishing, that I need to be like somebody else to be accepted. Yeah. I just don't subscribe to that personally.
No, I agree with you. And I don't either. And at some point in all of our lives, you and myself, we've probably fallen into something similar to that subscription. But we've, fought, kicked, and screamed to be us. Because there's only one you know what I mean? Like nobody else is created just like you. And so that's pretty unique and special. So why try to hide it?
Yeah. Absolutely. So we talked a little bit about, how you talk to companies about 5-star experience, and you talk about the science of what makes women physiologically different, chemically different. A female is different down to your DNA. So when in a shop, when we're dealing with our female customers and our female guests, what are some things that you recommend that we be mindful of?
Yeah. So women often need more details. So I always say, I when I talk to shops or the service lane, that car that she's bringing in is like, I want them to imagine it to be like a child that's going in for surgery, right? Like when the doctor doesn't come back or the nurse doesn't come back to give updates, we make up our own stories in our head, right?
Yes.
And we get panicked. Well, women feel greater, they feel more deeply, and they question things and they create these stories far more quickly than men. Men are a lot more laid back. They don't worry as much. So their car or their baby is, in the shop getting fixed. It's like a surgery, right? You're opening it up, putting back together. And she often wants to know what's going on. So the biggest one or biggest advice or counsel I can give, the more information you can give her, the less sticker shock she'll have. So when you come to her with the bill and she has no idea what's happening, and then all of a sudden, and she's feeling anxious, all of a sudden you throw this RO in front of her, and she's like, what? What did you even do? I just spent the last 45 minutes, an hour and a half, 2 hours wondering what the heck's going underneath the hood of my car or the body of my car. You need to give those details. You need to go and kneel down to her level. You need to chat, use her name. You need to say, hey, this is, what we've diagnosed. This is what's happening. It's going to take approximately this long, give or take. I'll come check back with you in half an hour, 15 minutes, an hour. But make sure you come back and check back. Disappointment or expectations not met. So if she has expectations, she'll remain calm and she'll feel like she's in control. And as long as you deliver on those expectations. The other big thing is the waiting area. Women really, really love a holistic and very, like men are very transactional. They could care less. Get in, get out. It doesn't matter how it feels. They'll keep themselves busy. It's very utilitarian, right? For a man, it's very utilitarian. For a woman, it's very much of the senses. It needs to be warm. It sounds silly, but like it needs to be warm. It needs to smell half decent. There needs to be clean chairs. I doubt any employees actually take a jaunt into the female bathroom because it's mostly male employees. So have we taken a look at what that looks like? So there's a lot of missteps when it comes to the experience. It's just that an experience is something somebody feels, right? A service is a transaction.
Yes.
A woman wants to feel good about where she is, who she's doing business with, and the money she's spending. That goes back to the limbic brain. It's all about the feeling. So I always counsel and let these, I hate keep saying male dominated, but you have a woman working for you, right? There's at least one woman.
Yeah, typically.
Use her eyes as your guide when you're designing the experience. You're not going to the female bathroom, but she does. Ask her.
Right.
Is it too cold? What does it smell like? Is it clean enough? Are the magazines something she's gonna, enjoy?
Yeah.
Do you have tampons and pads and all the things in the bathroom? Like, are you equipped? Are you using her name? Like, use that female that you already have to help you guide her experience.
I love that. That's so applicable. And that's one of the things that I touched on as one of my big things is we forget. And oftentimes, even women ourselves, we get so used to doing what we're doing. We're in our space so much that we then all of a sudden start looking over the filth and the grime and the, the dusty chairs and the ratty clipboard. And it oftentimes we need to step away. Like when I do marketing, I look at it from a consumer perspective. And that's exactly what you do when you're speaking. we have to take off this lens of we do what we do every day and we're just used to it, kind of callous to it.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, and it's a harsh truth. I say it on stage all the time or when I'm working with companies. You don't matter. Like what you think a good experience is does not matter. Mm-hmm. Your customer, male or female, is the one putting a roof over your head and food on your table and how little Johnny gets to play soccer.
Right.
So your feelings don't matter. You have to flip that lens.
Yes.
And, I talk about there's this survey that went out by Bain & Company, and they surveyed 300 organizations, and 80% of those organizations said, yeah, I provide an exceptional experience. Mm-hmm. Well, what they didn't know is they were surveying 3,000 of their customers.
Oh, wow.
Well, only 8% of their customers said, yeah, I feel like I actually received that exceptional experience.
Wow.
So there's a huge disconnect between what we think we're doing and what your customers feel they're receiving. And I keep saying the word feel with purpose because her limbic brain is double the size of a man's. How she feels is what navigates her through every decision she makes. It's always a gut feeling. It's always about how she feels. If she doesn't like you and doesn't feel like you like her or you care about her, she'll go down to the next shop. Right. It's easy to choose the closest shop.
Yeah. 100%.
It's not the loyalty and you creating experience she feels good about is what keeps having her come back for more.
Yeah.
It's not the fact that you fixed her car. Like, she could care less. Right. What she cares about is that you did what you said you were going to do. And along the way, she trusted you and she felt good about the experience you provided her.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Now, switching over to employees, for the female employees, again, we have, and I said this on one of my other podcasts, we have a tendency to think that everybody thinks like we do. And they don't. I mean, for anybody, right? But then you take the male sex and the female sex, and oftentimes the higher up positions in the collision industry are held majority by men. They have women in their employ. So what are some things that those men can be thinking about for their female employees to take care of them, to make sure that they are happy? Because what he thinks is like, oh, she's good. She's good. And meanwhile, she's over there suffering and dying on the vine.
Well, here's the thing. There's a couple of things. Is one, we could start all the way back to just even attracting women into that industry, right? So men, you can put a job description out, and if men think they can do 25, I think that's the stat. I'd have to take a look, so don't quote me, but I think it's about 25 to 28%. If they think they've got 25% of those skills, they apply.
Right.
Women act like that. Women look at it and they look at every single one of the qualifications needed, every single one of you must be like laundry list.
Yeah.
And if they don't feel that they're like 87%, if they don't fit it, they don't even apply.
That is crazy.
It's nuts. It's nuts. So in a male-dominated space, you've got men who are writing these job descriptions, which most men say, hey, I got this. I'm going to jump in with 2 feet and apply.
Right.
But then you've got women who look at it and be like, well, that's a man's job. Well, no crap. Like, I mean, it was written by a man.
Right. Right. I can testify to that. Because I look through resumes for my clients and I oftentimes will write the job postings, or they'll write it and then I look at it. Anyway, that's another topic. But it's interesting because the men that are applying for estimator positions, technician positions, they'll be required and have like a few things and then, would be nice to have list. They'll have zero, none. And they apply.
Still take a chance.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you do not see the women doing that. So it's so interesting to say that.
So you have to be careful with these job ads when you're attracting women, because you have to write it in such a way where she goes, yeah, I can do that and take the chance. So just right from, the get-go, just the attracting, we have to change the language, but also the benefits you offer, like, are they female friendly? Like, do you have, I know dads and moms stay home now for kids, but it's usually the moms still. We still hold that homemaker role, which is what I think we're naturally meant to do. And so cool, awesome.
Right.
If it works for your household. But, is there flexibility? Do we talk about that? Is there flexibility, especially in a world of post-COVID and the flu and everybody's scared? And, are we saying, yeah, if your kid is sick, I'm going to give you that flexibility? Are we giving them that ability to be a whole human? Because women don't just hold one role. We hold many roles. And so we have to look at her as a whole human, not just as an employee. So how do we benefit her entire life? And that goes for men too, by the way. I say in my book, if you cast the net wide enough to capture the women, you're gonna make the men happy too.
Very good point.
Men are less picky. So if you cast that net wide enough, you're going to capture all the people you never would have captured before, all the talent from an employee perspective, all the consumers from a loyalty perspective. If you cast it wide enough, you'll keep your men, you'll keep your current core consumer employee, but you'll be bombarded and flooded with even more talent.
Yeah.
So cast that net from the experience you provide, from an internal customer, your employee, and an external customer. Cast it wide enough that the woman says, yeah, hey, I'm going to take a shot on you.
That's a really good point.
The other thing men can do at the top is create this culture of diversity, to actually make it part of their mandates, talk about it, make sure it's happening. Don't just say, hey, this is on my 2023, objectives. It's going to be point number 7 of the, 10 things that I need to achieve in 2023. Move it to the top and get your team, your leaders bought into that. Because if you don't have that buy-in from the top, it doesn't matter what you do.
True.
You might be gung-ho from, January. It's like when you make the New Year's resolution to go to the gym.
Totally.
Right?
Yes.
And you're like, I'm going every other day. So 3-4 times a week, I'm feeling good. And then March rolls around and you're maybe going once a week, and that goal has gone out the window because life has taken over and you're so busy. Don't let that objective go by the wayside. Again, disappointment or expectations not met. So not only are you not helping your company grow by doing that, you're also disappointing your current female employees because they got excited with you and they thought, oh, I'm going to have change. And now they're like, they didn't mean what they said, and I don't believe you. So you're breaking trust with your female employee. And you know what? Your happiest customer is only as happy as your happiest employee, right? So if your female consumers are internal customers are not happy, your employees are not happy, they're going to, I hate to use the words bitch and complain because, that's a stereotype, but they're going to, they're going to bitch and complain to their girlfriends. They're going to say how horrible it is. They're going to say, don't work here. So forget about having other females bring other females along. It's not going to happen because they're not happy.
Right.
So if you're going to do it, the worst thing a company can do is say, I'm going to do something. I'm going to focus on it. It's going to be 2023, diversity, inclusion, all the things, and then not do it. You're better off just leaving it as it is.
Right.
Don't do anything.
Yeah. Yeah, because then there's lost trust, lost faith, because now you just built it up and now it's
You're
nothing.
doing more damage than good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Intention is nothing without action, right?
Yes, exactly.
So I'm not saying their intentions aren't, pure as the white driven snow, but if you don't action it and be consistent with it, then it's really nothing. It's a good thought.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's about it.
I'm going to interrupt this podcast for just one quick second because a lot of people wonder, Mickey, what is it that you even do besides host a podcast? Well, I do marketing, and really the biggest thing that I do is help you drive more traffic to your business. And not even just more traffic, but consistent traffic to your business. As a former shop owner, I know how important that is. So if that's something you're interested in, or you just want to talk about marketing or developing your business in general, feel free to reach out. You can visit collisioncentermarketing.com. There's a calendar on there, and you can just book a time that works for you, and we'll set up a phone call. Or you can email or call me, and my notes are down in the description of this episode. But I hope to hear from you. I'd love to help you build your business. But in the meantime, you better get back to this podcast because it's really good. So the females and helping them feel valued in the workplace, are there some things that the males can be doing to help them? I know we talked about holistically and being sensitive to homework balance, that type of thing with kids and other things. Anything else you recommend?
Honestly, hear them out, give them a seat at the table, let them voice their opinions. If they have a really good idea, let them see that to fruition. Build their confidence. Because at the end of the day, especially in such a male-dominated space like collision and automotive, a lot of women, they fight to get where they are, and they lose, we mentioned earlier, they lose that sense of what makes them great. So create an environment that lets them be them.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And I feel like that could go for everybody, really, for the people that you have on your team, letting them have the space to say something if it's on their heart that they're passionate about, and then trusting them to do something with it. I mean, talk about feeling like you're a part of it.
Right. It's kind of leadership 101, right? I mean, anything I'm saying is not new, but it impacts the female far more than it impacts the male.
Right.
So you do have to, because of the way, women have grown through centuries and the way we've been groomed. I hate using that word, but our DNA, it was stay at home mom. It was don't get a job, homemaker, look pretty, have food on the table. You can't vote. You can't, that's, we've been sort of over the centuries, squashed. It comes through our DNA. So, I mean, it's a learned behavior. So even though we're in this new day and age, where we talk about diversity and inclusion, we talk about female empowerment, the fact of the matter is, we as women don't have that belief system innately in us. And so we need to have people around us help us. We've got to change the DNA structure, right? We have to make our future generations have that innately in them. And the only way that's going to happen is if we actually make change and we action what's right for her and not necessarily what's right for him.
Right. Yeah. And I love how everything that you're saying now, and I'm sure you talk in the book and one of the first things that really drew me to you was all of the statistics and the data, that it wasn't just I'm saying this because this is my opinion of this. This is legitimized data science that backs all of the things that you're saying. Which is really where the power comes from. We can't ignore it when we have the facts and figures and stats that's been accumulated for not just the last year, for tens, if not hundreds,
for centuries.
Right.
No, for centuries. My introduction of my book, it's called The Future of Retail. That's what it's called. It says, I start back in the ancient times. In ancient times, strong women like Cleopatra, Boudica, and Esther were recorded in history books as revered rulers and warriors standing shoulder to shoulder with their male counterparts. But there was a turn in the 4th and 5th century AD. Women began taking a back seat as the world defined and encouraged a female's role solely as a homemaker. So it started way back in the 4th and 5th centuries AD.
Wow.
So it's right. So when I say it's not innately in us, it's not.
Right. How it was so different prior.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, Cleopatra ruled the world, and then she died and something happened. A man took over and everything changed.
Yeah. That's so interesting. And that kind of leads me on to something that you and I had discussed a little bit prior. And that is, and you made the statement earlier on in the podcast, which I think was really powerful, of oftentimes we allow men to, we blame men for where women are at, when it's oftentimes our own responsibility. But personally, for myself, and you shared a little bit when we were talking earlier, and I want to go into it a little bit more, is women are more aggressive and will drag you down. For me personally, in this industry, I've had some few issues with men. For the most part, the biggest haters and the biggest deterrers of me and my success have 100% been women.
Yeah.
What is
the scarcity
Katie?
mentality. It's crazy. And I was sharing with you that, I went in for my regular, bi-yearly Botox so that I could get rid of my 40-year-old smile lines.
Yeah.
But I was chatting with Sylvia, my injector, and she's amazing. Like, she's accomplished so many fantastic things. And she's asking me, what are you doing? I said, well, my book's finally getting out. And the first thing she does is her eyes light up and she's like, what is it about? And so I talked to her about it. Oh, you have to bring me a copy. Bring me a copy, because at conferences, we need to hear this in the medical world. I mean, it's all the doctors are men, not all, but majority.
Right.
And us women, but all our consumers, not all, it's kind of opposite, are female, right? We don't spend the time to tailor that experience to her. And we went on and on and on. And so I said, okay, well, I'm going to drop by tomorrow, which was today. So I went and brought her a book today. But she said, when I left, it'd be so nice if, we could fix each other's crowns rather than pulling them over our eyes so we can't see where we're going.
Yeah.
I have personal experience in the automotive space, coming into a whole new industry with women where, I was telling you that I was blocked out of conferences because there's a certain group of women that didn't want me to have success. And I had to literally move boulders, climb mountains, go through back doors. And you know who helped me in the space? Men.
Yeah. Right?
All my number one supporters are men. Now, some women will say, well, you're pretty and you're young, and of course they want to work with you. No. Everything that I do is science-based. It's backed by facts. So I'm not out here selling a pretty face and a pretty smile. I'm selling actual truth and how-tos. And so eventually my message got across. But there is a problem out there where women feel like there's not enough meat on the bone for them. So they have to, it's so bad, like a dog, like an animal, protect what they think is rightfully theirs.
Right.
Instead of including someone else in and saying, well, if I have 2 people or 3 people, I could hunt more. I can be more protected. I'll survive. I'll have more ideas. 2 brains are better than 1, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Men have no problem doing that.
Right.
Men, they just come one, come all, like let the best man win.
Right.
Well, it should just be come one, come all, let the best person win.
Yes.
Man or woman,
Agreed.
right? Like,
Agreed.
And women, unfortunately, as I said, it's not innately in us to feel that confidence, to feel like, we're smart enough and we can stand with the men, and and there's not a ton of positions in the world right now, like that middle management tier. There's not a ton of women out there. Like there are in the bottom. The top, C-suite level, believe it or not, is starting to flourish, but it's that like middle of the pie where women are scratching to get in, and once they get there, they're kicking the other women off the ladder so that they have the next shot at the C-suite, right?
Right.
Like, that's what's happening. Is I'm finally here. Get away, don't ruin.
Yes.
So, unfortunately, the whole female empowerment and diversity and, let women rise. Well, guess what? It starts with us.
100%.
Let's help women rise. Let's straighten those crowns. Let's, promote each other's businesses, because the world is filled with opportunity and there is enough meat on the bone for everyone.
Right. Right.
Because your skill is not my skill.
Mm-hmm.
But shoot, that's amazing. So
yeah.
when I hear of the next, company that needs somebody to do marketing for their collision center, I'm going to be like, hey, I know who to go after. I'm going to refer Mickey, right?
Yeah.
And if you go, oh, hey, this person, if you really need to dial in your experience, I'm gonna introduce you to Katie.
Yeah.
But we can work together. Unfortunately, that's not the mentality most women have. It's fight or flight. It's scarcity. It's that scarcity mentality.
Totally.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate because we're ruining it for ourselves and we're ruining it for our future.
Agreed.
Like our kids, we're ruining it for them.
Yeah. Well, and you even see it in the younger ages. I have teenage daughters where the girls are threatened immediately by other girls when they come on the scene. So we're starting out young. And I think a lot of that personally is taught behavior because they see it and they're mimicking it. And if they even start to naturally have that, is the mother or female figure in their life sharing with them how they can accept and include and uplift. Can they? Yeah. Can they speak on it? Because are they doing it?
Well, that's just it. And so it does. It starts with us. I have a 12-year-old and a 9-year-old daughter, but I have 4 bonus kids and 3 of them are girls. Okay. So 22, 19, and 16. Okay. And they live in Utah. So they live in this shaming culture around women. And it's not about, lifting them up. It's really about shutting them up. Like, wow. Women are to be seen and not heard. You know what I mean? Like it's very, anyway, it's something it drives me nuts. Yeah. But that is what we're teaching those young girls. We're teaching them that, it's their fault if a man is attracted to you because you're wearing a spaghetti strap, you're provoking it. You know what I mean? Like we're teaching them that you should judge the next person and the girl down the street for dressing too scandalously, or like it's being taught, and it's just so wrong. It's so wrong on so many levels. So to answer your question, no, we're not making any progress because it is our generation that's not making any changes. Right. Yeah, it's interesting. I talk to my girls about it, but like you and I are few and far in between, right? Like it's just not. And on top of that, the women today are still fighting, and they feel like they need to fight for their life. They need to fight for their career, fight for their position. And so they're also, not that mothers are checked out, and I might get into a little bit of hot water here, but the focus is about the career they have and how far they can get. It's not focused on, how am I making that? We have let go of what we naturally are put on this earth to do. So I think we can have both. I think there's lots of gray in life. I don't think black and white exists in life. I don't think it's all or nothing. I think you can have everything as long as you're willing to smear and smush that black and white together to make a whole bunch of gray. Then you can have your career and you can make time for your sons and daughters and yourself, because that's extremely important. And you can have a passion. You can do all of it. You can have a loving relationship. You can do it all, but it's a choice. And a lot of women think they need to keep fighting. Yeah. But we need to stop the war and we need to take a breath and focus on, well, how do we make ourselves, how do we unite that? How do we make ourselves whole? Yeah. So that our companies are whole, so our families are whole, so that we are whole. I've gone off on a little bit of a tangent, but it's crazy to me how we let go of so much by sacrificing so much. We don't have to sacrifice it all to have it all. Right. It's actually the quite opposite. You don't have to sacrifice everything to have everything. Yeah. Agreed. Well, and then for women like us, because there are a lot of different types of people that listen to this podcast. So there are women like us, and I don't know if you felt like this before, who naturally are very strong, independent. We just go in, our star shines brightly. That's just who we are. And because of this judgment, because of this almost attack from other women, I find myself
feeling like in the past to quiet, to dim that light in order for others to feel more comfortable with me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we definitely do that. We definitely dim our own light to fit in, to feel more comfortable, to talk softer, soften the edges, not make it as a harsh reality, to be bright and to step on heaven forbid we step on anybody's toes. It's
right.
I always say if you're not making a few enemies, sorry, there's my son.
Yeah.
If you're not, I'm being mom and power woman right now on this podcast.
That's
so
right.
There you go. But if we're not taking that approach, if you're not ruffling a few feathers, then you're not shining bright. Like you can't.
Right. You're not being your true you.
You're not. You're not. But on the flip side, like I haven't always been strong.
Mm-hmm.
So I want women to hear this too. You don't have to be born strong. Like I come from an upbringing where I've had no choice but to be strong and a different kind of strong, right? Like my parents were addicts. I raised my brother and sister. Like I've had some terrible things happen to me and I've had no choice but to be strong-minded, whatever. But with that comes a fight for confidence and a fight, and everybody has a story. So I woke up, it's not one day, but I woke up one day and decided, okay, like I've got this. I've got something inside me and I can shine bright. But that didn't happen overnight. And you were mentioning my LinkedIn post that I, talked about what happened to me with this book.
Mm-hmm.
I felt defeated. I was depressed. Like all of a sudden I was on top of the world and then the clouds rolled in and I fell down the mountain and I stayed there. I pitied myself. I did all that. I didn't shine bright for a year and a half.
Right.
But then I woke up and I had a fire in us. So just because you don't shine bright today doesn't mean it's not in you. And so maybe take this as your permission. Any woman and man or woman that's watching this, use this as your permission to shine bright and to have a voice. Because I mean, tomorrow is a new day. So start tomorrow.
Yeah.
Don't wait a year, but start tomorrow. Don't worry about yesterday.
Right.
And shine bright and don't let anybody quiet you.
Yeah.
And if you let them quiet you, give yourself an amount of time you're going to let that happen for, and then wake up and keep going.
I had somebody tell me one time, you dimming your light doesn't make other people's lights brighter. So it's like you think you're doing a service or something, but and maybe that's what they're wanting is so that they feel more comfortable if you are a bright light. Where in reality, we should all be able to shine at different levels and all be okay with it and still be good and supportive. And we forget that. We forget that.
Well, we all are unique. We are all come to this earth with a unique set of skills, a unique story, unique experiences. All these things shape who we are. So we're just be you.
Yeah.
Because there's enough room in this world for you and for the person next to you and, your predecessors behind you, and the person in front of you. There is enough space in this world for every one of us to exist just as we are.
Right.
If there wasn't, God wouldn't have put us on this earth.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree with everything you're saying. And as you can see, Katie has so much good stuff that she talks about. I heard her speaking at a roundtable for dealerships, and I was so like, yes, Katie, yes. Why is this not being talked about more? So I'm excited to get your book. I can't wait for it to come out.
It's in the mail. I sent you the advanced reader copy. It's in the mail. So you'll get it next week sometime.
Awesome. I am pumped. And I'm excited for everybody listening to read it because it's not just a man for woman book. It's not just a woman for, it's like you said earlier when we were chit-chatting, This type of stuff is for everybody. It's for every business, every person, right?
It is. It really, really is. It's not just written for a man to read.
Yeah.
It's also written for women and to give to their husbands because they'll better understand them. But it's written for women to read as well. And I'm just looking up the chapter. Oh, chapter 8. It's called The Merits of a Female-Friendly Workplace Culture. So that is a chapter that every woman and man needs to read. I also have chapter 11, which is a message for the ladies. And it is a pretty intense chapter on kind of giving you my 2 cents on the fact that we have to fix each other's crowns.
Yeah, 100%, girl. Well, I appreciate you. I'm so excited to meet you. Yeah.
In person?
Virtual person.
We need to do it. Yes.
Yeah. And I actually have a board, a picture board of like a manifestation board, whatever you want to call it, of all of the things that I want for my life. And I actually have a picture of Katie on that board, and you're speaking at an event. Yeah. And it's such a great picture of you. I love it. And
thank you.
Yeah. You're just such an empowered woman who speaks from a place of passion and honesty. And the fact that you're out there lifting other women up and you're helping men and women be better, do better, grow their businesses. I mean, it's not just a business level, it's a personal human heart level. I have so much respect for you, and I'm so happy to have had this chit chat today.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. I'm literally blushing. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
We often don't, women, we don't feel that way about ourselves. So it's a real treat to hear it. So thank you for being a woman that uplifts other women. I'm super, super grateful.
Absolutely. So I'm going to have a link to all of Katie's information in the description notes. She's got a beautiful website. You can contact her. Would it be best for them to go to the website if they are interested in potentially do you speak to individuals? So, we're talking to body shops right now.
Yeah.
Would this be something you would come and speak to their team?
100%.
Okay.
So I do like team workshops. We can do team virtual workshops too.
Okay.
So if, you don't want to, because it's always a little less money to bring me virtually than bring me in, although I prefer to work with the team.
Yeah.
So we can do virtual meetings. Obviously, if you want to bring a whole bunch of shops together, and I've had like individual dealerships work together and bring and like share in my experience, so we can bring people together.
Right.
So I will work with individuals. I will work with small teams, and as large as we are talking like 2,000 or 3,000 people. Right. So it all just depends. And it's not a one size fits all. That's not how life works. That's not how business works. So that's not how I work. So I'll tailor the experience to whatever they need.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So,
but in terms of contacting, so honestly, DM me. You can follow me on social media. So Instagram at Katie Mares. Katie Mares. Just Google me. It all come up. Katie Mares. My email is katie@katiemares.com.
Okay.
And so feel free to reach out. Anytime.
Yeah. She's on LinkedIn also, because I follow you there.
Yes.
And then on Instagram, I love your fishing pictures. She's like now an avid fisher, and she's kick ass.
Katie on the fly. Yes, that is. I'm an angler. It's crazy. That's what I did during COVID. I took up a new hobby, and I became one of the best salt female fisher anglers out there. So that is what I did during COVID. When I went away, I went fishing.
Yeah.
That is what I did.
Awesome. I love it. Well, thank you, Katie, for coming on. And thank you, everybody, for listening. Appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, whether you're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube, whatever it is you're listening. Subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And we will see you next time. Bye.
If you enjoyed today's show, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We have some incredible topics and guests coming your way you will not want to miss. If you are watching on YouTube and don't want to miss the latest and greatest, you'll want to hit the bell after subscribing, so you will get a pop-up each time a video podcast goes live. To our devoted fans, would you mind paying it forward and sharing this little gem with someone else you think may benefit from it? Much love from all of us here at Body Bangin', all things auto body.